Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Spartan Nation. It's now time for the good, the bad, and the ugly with Michigan State football. And we're joined by Coach Chuck Grenier, the legendary State of Michigan high school football and basketball coach who joins us. He's joined us now. Geez, Coach, it's been 12 years, I think, hasn't it?
It has. It's been about 12 years.
Wow.
A long time.
Great to have you on, Coach. Let's dig right into it and talk about it. Mark D'Antonio went out and got his seventh commitment. Mark D'Antonio, Mel Tucker
Yeah.
got his seventh. I was literally just looking at a picture 4 years ago today when he started when D'Antonio had quite a big harvest of recruits. That's what made me say that. But Mel Tucker goes out and gets his seventh commit. Hampton Fay, this is a quarterback that, let me tell you, I've got it, and you know this because I've told you about this for years. I have a buddy down in the Fort Worth area, very successful high school coach, who is the one that told me about Hampton Fay. As soon as I broke the story about Mel Tucker being the head coach, he said, listen, they offered a kid down here at quarterback. He goes, I expect them to offer him at Michigan State. He goes, this kid is the real deal, 6'5", 220. He's got an awesome arm. He can put the ball anywhere, but he's accurate. He goes, the kid runs track. He goes, he is a great athlete, great player. He only played 3 games because of injury, but he's a steal. What did you think of him picking up Hampton Fay? Great news for Michigan State.
Well, I watched his highlight tape, and again, they only played 3 games his junior season. But the kid has exceptional speed for his size. He's a long strider. He passed well in the pocket. He did a really good job there with his footwork. On the move, it was a little more arm throwing than it was technique throwing. But the kid definitely ran away from people. He's a big kid, 6'4", 6'5", somewhere around 220, 215, somewhere around there. Really accurate, throws the ball with ease. I was really impressed with his highlight film.
My buddy down there who's a who's a coach who's played against him said it's such zip, and he said he just puts the ball wherever he needs to be and he just makes it look easy. I mean, those are great things you want to hear if you're going to get a quarterback.
Yeah, I thought he threw the ball well, intermediate, long, and short distances. I thought he threw it well to the sides and with not a whole lot of effort. And he's been well coached for a high school kid down there. His footwork, like I said, in the pocket was pretty good. So I think this is going to be one of those great finds that you build a program with, where you pick up somebody if you're looking at the stars. He's a 3-star at this point, and I think because of the 3 games and the injury. But I think this is one of the kids that you build your name within a program. Like, I guess you would say not exactly a diamond in the rough, but somebody that's not really highly known.
Coach, then they go out and get Antoine Booth, a complete shutdown corner from Maryland. I really like that kid. You just put the film in and the film don't lie. Your thoughts on Booth?
Yeah. Really impressed with what Coach Tucker is doing at this time. And if you remember, and I'm sure you do, when Coach D'Antonio was making his bones and becoming the coach at Michigan State, he went out and he got these good football players like Booth, and that were not highly rated for whatever reason, but they brought him in there. They're just technically sound football players, tough kids that are going to make your program.
Coach, they continue to throw offers, 40 offers last week across the country. Again, I know we talked about it last week. I'm not trying to beat a dead horse, but you got to love Mel Tucker bringing the SEC mentality that you recruit every day. Last week, 12 offers went to the class of 21, but then you saw 28 offers go out to the class of 22.
Yeah, you just got to keep pounding the pavement on this and throwing it out. It's like deer hunting, man. It's like you got to throw that. The deer don't fall over by themselves, so you got to go out and you got to put those feelers out for your football players. And every once in a while, you're just going to find that kid that you didn't kind of plan on, and you're going to get those kind of recruits. And it doesn't hurt to get your name out there and have future recruits talking about it.
Think about this one. Mel Tucker's come in since February, and the guy has ended up in less than 2 months. Well, that's not true. 2 months without visits, without on-field recruiting. I mean, on-campus or off-campus recruiting, and 7 commits from 7 good players. I mean, how do you give? You can't give Mel Tucker anything less than an A+.
I think so. The new trend with the situation we have going now is the virtual recruiting, and he did make some inroads when he was coaching at other places, and particularly at Colorado. Some of these kids had been contacted before by him, but he's making inroads back in Detroit, where he should, in the Michigan areas where he should, and he's got his name and the program all over the United States right now. So he's doing an excellent job, A+ for sure.
Coach, I want to switch gears a little bit, and Mel Tucker's here now, and we got to move away from the Mark Dantonio era. But because we just come off the heels of the draft, I have to share with you. Now, Coach, you've been with me a long time. You've been with me privately because we're friends personally. And I'm not saying this to brag to the listeners, but I want them to understand I'm not just pulling this out of my rear. You know, because you know who, I have legitimate contacts in the NFL. True or false?
Yes.
I was talking to 2 different NFL people after the draft, and both of them talked about Brian Lewerke, and they talked about other players on this Michigan State team. And one of them said to me, and he just said, great coaching is understanding what your guys can do and only asking them to do that. And he said, bad coaching is saying, here's what we're going to do, and then continuing to do it when they can't. And he said, Michigan State players, the reason this was such a tough draft for Michigan State is he said, you had a lot of kids, he goes, that I think can play in this league. But they just didn't have a lot of tape because Michigan State kept asking them to do what they couldn't do. I mean, he talked about it. He goes, listen, Brian Lewerke, after his sophomore year, he goes, I'm the one who told you. But if that kid shores up a few things, I think he could go pro after this year. He goes, and he got worse his next 2 years because they kept asking him to do what he couldn't do. They talked about asking him to throw deep balls. That's not his strength. It's not what he can do. They talked about, asking him to throw to his left when he was a right-handed quarterback. They talked about offensive linemen, poor scheme. I'm just asking, was this draft an indictment of how bad things had gotten at Michigan State?
Well, I believe it was. You can tell where's Lewerke going. He's going to New England with Belichick. Belichick knows talent when he sees it, and you just have to think that there are a number of players out there that are a lot better. I think they got a lot of downplay, I guess, other way to say this, because of the record and in some of the poor showings that they had. But offensively, it was just as if they were stuck in the mud all the time and just didn't seem to mesh with what was trying to be done out there. So, yeah, I believe that's exactly right. I think the coaching offensively at Michigan State was pretty bad, and you gotta go with what you got. You gotta go to the dance, or whatever that phrase is before, and you just got to do what your players can do. You saw this, and I keep repeating this on the show here. You saw this when Harbaugh went to Michigan, and he saw the kind of talent that he had at Michigan, and he revamped his offense to suit that talent so that they could be winning and then they could show well. And, Michigan State just didn't do that. We had a scheme. We had, this is the way we're going to do it. And even if we don't have the people to do it correctly, we're going to do it anyway. I think that's the last 3 years that at Michigan State that you could really, really see that.
Coach, one of the NFL people said something to me I thought was brilliant. He's a huge basketball fan. And he said, you've seen Izzo win with fast teams. You've seen him win with physical boxers, slower teams. You have seen him win with 5-star guys. You've seen him win with basically no-star guys. He said, the thing is, Izzo's married to winning. He's not married to his system. And he said, that's the best programs. He goes, look at Alabama. There's times that Nick has won with ground him out, pound him out, run the ball. And then times he's opened up and spread it. He said at Michigan State football, it was this is our system. So whatever recruits we can get, we're going to get them, and we're going to make them play our way. And he goes, and that's why Mark D'Antonio is no longer the coach. We got 10 seconds. Is that fair or not?
I think that's spot on. Spot on.
All right. He's the great Coach Chuck Grenier, legendary State of Michigan high school coach. We'll be back.